Good evening and welcome to Key Radio Live. We are here to talk about the Prima Doll anime. Finally, it's so good. There's
so good, and I can't believe it's all like. It feels like yesterday when it was like dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it feels so recent, but no, it's been like half a year. It's been over half a year. Oh my god.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
It's giving me an existential crisis. But yeah, it's October now. it's autumn.
It's this episode, or rather this series, has had quite the tumultuous history in this server. I think Key Radio Live has canceled more Prima Doll related episodes than we've ran.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. Like you and Utori made one way back when the first episode dropped, and I hadn't experienced any Prima Doll before, so I wasn't on that one.
Wasn't that wasn't that even like not an episode, but like it was still the novels and stuff, or was that the episode?
It was the first episode of the anime that had dropped.
Oh right, yeah, I remember now.
And you guys were like, hey, let's reconvene with Lucia and see how he feels about this once after the second episode happens and after he watches it, and that never happened. But now we're here, we're talking about the whole thing, and TLDR, I fucking love this series.
I think it's an incredibly underrated work, and I urge people to give it a shot, because I don't know if everyone will love it. I don't think everyone will love it, but I definitely think it is worth watching, because it has different appeals to other key anime originals. It's less based on overarching story and very much character focused, and I think that works to its strength, because like that was an issue that I had with other anime originals. But should we save that for later?
No, we can even get into that now. Like,
okay,
this is going to be compared to the 3 anime by PA Works a lot. And it is a totally different thing.
Yeah, because this is technically an anime original thing, because while we've already seen the Prima Doll story as a web novel, this anime, we didn't know this when it launched because we didn't know anything when it was first announced, but this anime seems to be a prequel to that.
Yes.
Yeah, a distant prequel to say that as well.
Which is why, even if you're like me and haven't read the web novels, and I still haven't read them, by the way, the Prima Doll anime absolutely stands on its own, and it's honestly a really good place to start for this.
It is essentially, I mean, chronologically so far, it is the first bit, as far as like, well, aside from like the flashbacks, this is the first part.
Yes. Yeah. And, okay, the other thing we should talk about when comparing it to the PA Works anime, it is a complete story on its own, but it's very clear that there is more to come after this.
Yes, absolutely. This is a multimedia project. You need to consume everything to get the full picture. There's not a single part of this franchise that you'll be able to like complete without consuming more than just one medium. Like, this is a multimedia project. That's how these work.
Right. And we have kind of seen Key do this before with Planetarian and with Angel Beats. In a different kind of way though, because like the Angel Beats anime and the Planetarian visual novel were what we had of those series to begin with, and then there's extended media that expands on the universe. Prima Doll was announced as a mixed media project, and I think, as you could tell, that our live audience is among the smallest Key Radio Live has ever had. It has turned off a lot of people.
It's because it's an investment, I assume, and it is.
Yes,
like, you do have to invest a lot of time.
You do. But you don't necessarily need to invest a lot of time into the anime. It's 12 episodes, and it's a great way to find out if this series is for you, and it definitely was for me. I was going to skip the web novels. I am no longer going to skip the web novels. I am very excited to dig into them. and into the upcoming Kinetic novel series, which we'll talk about in a bit.
That's very exciting.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So I guess as like a before you watch kind of deal, there are a couple things we need to talk about. First of all, female main character.
Yes, the elephant in the room. This is an almost completely female cast, which is like a new thing for Key, because while Key has done female-centric stories, in fact, most of their stories are female-centric just due to the way Galgays work, this is the first time where basically all of the main cast is female. Like, you can argue Nagi is a very big role, but in the end, he is still a side character.
He's not the protagonist, though.
He's not the protagonist, and he is comparatively also a side character. Like, you don't focus on his story. This is him supporting Haizakura's story, and he's also the only male character in the entire show.
Is he really?
At least, yeah. When you look at it, yeah, they're all female.
When you look at the main cast, because you have the 5 main girls, we have Haizakura, we have Retzel, Geka, Hokiboshi, and Karasuba, and then
we have the General and Chio, who are also both girls.
Right, and
yep,
and Nagi, and that's the cast, really.
That's the main cast, and Nagi is the only one who is a male.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's a huge female cast, and also, while I would love for Key to tackle LGBT in the future, in fact, they kind of have with Heaven Burns Red. This is one of the first times we're having a full female cast, and the story has 0 romance as a like a byproduct of that. Like, there isn't, and this is one of the few Key stories that doesn't really focus on any romance at all.
Which is very much to Prima Doll's benefit, and I have been on the wrong side of this argument before, where I was thinking, oh, what if, I think we talked about it in a post show once, I came up with the idea of, what if we had like a Prima Doll, like, canon style the end? Like, not a true route, but like romance routes with each of the girls. And the farther we got into the series, I'm like, no, that doesn't really work. They kind of just, they need to figure stuff out on their own and through friendship, I think. Yeah,
they're found family. That's very much what Prima Doll is as a story. It's a found family story of broken. I'm gonna call them. They're not humans, but I'm gonna call them people because like, effectively they are people. Like, these are very humanized characters, even if they are physically robots. They are very much humanized, and they are by far the most quote-unquote human-feeling robot girls we've had since, like, with the only exception being Stella. Ever, yeah.
Like,
they are very distinct with their personalities, and they do not feel robotic at all.
Right, like, and one thing that we will talk about in a future episode in Season 3 of Key Radio Live is that robotics as a concept in Prima Doll is not the same as it is in the Robot Trilogy.
No, it's not.
Those talk a lot about, like, the ethics and stuff of robotics, where here it's more of robot girls as a societal problem. A
societal thing, and also I consider it an allegory for what I think is the main reason I got attached to Prima Doll, but I'll let you finish.
Well, no, we could get into that. It's kind of a societal construct of what I think is like a race story.
Right, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I can see that. Like, there's a bit of, like,
the dolls
prejudice.
are discriminated against in this world because a lot of people blame them for the war.
And they are weapons. Like, that was their purpose at one point. They were done to harm people and cause destruction. Like, these are weapons of war, or were at one point.
And we see that in the past of the 5 main girls. I won't spoil what they are, because that's what a lot of the first half of the season gets into, but you will know the past and what these girls did in their past to make them, you know, as jaded as they are, especially Gekka.
The people that they are, yes. And this is
Yes.
what this leads into the main thing I was talking about, why these characters are robots. There's a big theme of these robots all being broken. And like physically broken. Like they have, for instance, in the beginning of the series, Hokiboshi can't talk. Because we don't know why, but she is physically broken in that point, and she's not the only example. She's just the most easiest to talk about. All of them, all these dolls are broken in some sort of way. And I think the biggest obvious thing is that this is very much a blatant parallel and like comparison to PTSD. Like the way these characters...
Oh, I never thought of that, but I totally agree.
Yeah, I always saw this as a story about these broken dolls and how the war quite literally broke them. It's an allegory to how horrible things can also break people, because that's the thing about these dolls. They're not just robots, they're humanized robots. As the title says, they understand the human heart and have feelings. And as we'll discover, not all of the dolls have physical like manufacturing functions that are broken. No, most of their problems are actually because they have consciousness and feelings, and because they had to be weapons, they broke mentally. Like they have issues that they have to overcome, and demons that they face because of the things that they've seen and the horrific deeds that they've done.
And that's the kind of stuff that makes it key, you know?
Yeah, and it's a very obvious allegory to like, yes, these are robots, but the sad truth is, in real life, when it comes to war, we make people do that as well. And very much, their PTSD is a real thing. And the people who have to suffer from it have to deal with that. And that kind of thing isn't easy to overcome.
Right.
It is a chip in like functioning what we would call normally. Like, in a sense, they are seen as broken because they have to like deal with that now. It's just part of their life. And I think that's what Prima Doll is trying to use as an allegory through these robots. It's like, yeah, they're broken, but it's not a physical problem. They're just seen that way. Like it's made easier to understand.
We could see this happen a lot, even just at the very beginning with Haizakura, because this is not a spoiler. Haizakura is the first time since Yuichi we have had an amnesiac protagonist. Haizakura has no memories of the war, and we can see just how different she is to someone like Karasuba, who is very, very clearly affected by it, and also Gekka to an extent.
Basically everyone else, honestly. Like, she's the only one that hasn't been affected. That's why she's the protagonist.
And like Hokiboshi is still, you know, cheerful and everything, but she can't speak. So of the other three dolls who are there at the start, because Retzel comes later, it's a very obvious difference between Haizakura and everyone else.
Yeah, Haizakura is like, she is the vehicle for like that the viewers have to insert into to like understand this world, because we understand and see this world through her eyes. Like, we learn everything through her perspective, and that's how we get a slow but well-built world once it starts rolling. Once the ball starts rolling, we learn about this world along with her.
Personally.
Yes, I agree. I think the world building in this story is very well done. Like you do not need to have read the web novels or seen the other stuff to understand this world, and I think that's definitely a plus. And I think that's something that the anime does really well.
Because the other dolls are teaching Haizakura, and as they teach Haizakura about living in this world, they're also teaching us. Because here's the thing, no one watching Prima Doll was alive in 1910. Which is roughly when the story takes place.
Yes.
So
it was a very different era for them, and we have to learn everything about the whole Imperial, because the world of Prima Doll is very much inspired by Imperial Japan.
Yes.
So this is very much in line with
Military-run Japan.
Yeah.
Like, military is in... Think like Full Metal Alchemist. The military is like a big deal.
Yeah, this is Imperial Japan essentially. Like this is an older era, and I like this like setting a lot, like in general. And I think Prima Doll is just another great example of why I like
it is
this
one of my favorite key settings. Like that might sound like hyperbole, but I don't know. I agree. This is a really well built world, and I think this is exactly the kind of thing I do love seeing stories for. Yes.
Like another example is Soccer Wars, and also Fate Grand Order does this well. Like the Imperial Japan is a great setting to write stories in, and I do think this is another great example of that.
It's so exciting. Okay. A couple things we should get into here. One thing I want to mention, I'll mention Utori's review before we get too deep. Utori says, Prima Dolls is a very interesting property from Key, since while it is nothing all that special, it knows that, and thus uses the low expectations to surpass them. I expected in large part cute girls doing cute things, and while it did provide that, it ended up hitting me in the gut much harder than I ever would have expected. Overall, it's an 8 out of 10, and I look forward to what the kinetic novels have to bring.
Yeah, so I think that's a respectable review.
Absolutely. I gave the show a 9.
I gave the show a 9 as well.
Yeah, I would put it tied with Kami-sama and above the other two PA works, knowing that it is different.
I would just straight up say this is my favorite out of the anime originals that Key has ever made.
You would put it above all 3.
I would put it above all 3 personally, because I think this appeals to me the most, and it also does one thing that I think was an issue with the others, is that each character feels like they have episodes. They have episodes, and this is one thing.
Oh yeah.
This is one thing that I feel some people have critiqued, but I also think this is more of a strength, honestly. Because all right, let me just set the scene of the first part of Prima Doll, because Prima Doll has 2 very distinct parts. There's the first and second half, and the second half is like more plot related, and the first half is almost entirely character related.
Yes.
Like there is a semblance of like an overarching story, but it's very small. It is very much a character story in the beginning, and this is why I personally like Prima Doll a lot more, is that
I would say 80% of the plot is in the latter 50% of the anime.
Basically, yeah. And this is the big thing, is that one of my biggest critiques with Charlotte, with Kami-sama, with Angel Beats, is that while we got interesting characters, we didn't spend enough time with all of them. Like there are some I feel like they lacked the screen time they needed to for me to understand and invest in them. And I feel like this is
Kami-sama kind of did this well, but not as well as Prima Doll.
Kami-sama, I'd say, is the example that does this the best. But I think especially with Angel Beats and Charlotte, this was a massive issue.
Yes.
And Prima Doll's first half seems to specifically counter that, and I've heard people say that this is an issue because there's not a lot of a hook. Yeah, I can agree with that. There's not a lot of a direct plot hook, but what hooks me personally is these characters, and each episode focuses on one, so you can get a full idea of the entire cast by the end of the first half. Each episode dedicates themselves to one singular member of the cast, and it's basically just looking through their story and their place in this giant world. And while their individual stories aren't important for the overarching stories, they do the thing that I wish the other stories did, and it's make me care for each and every single one of the cast members. And for a story like Prima Doll, where it's very much a story about found family and you banking on you liking each of the girls, I think this is one strength that the anime has, is that it
second literally all of that.
It includes everyone, and each episode, by the end of it, I liked that character just a bit more. And By a bit, I mean I really like them.
Yeah, and like for you, you had read the web novels before, so you already kind of had some idea of the characters.
I had an idea of the characters, but the thing is, the web novel doesn't expand on all of them.
It really only expands on Haizakura and Karasuba, right?
Yeah, through their backstories, because most
Right.
of the rest of it is slice of life.
Right. And I remember after episode 2 talking with you and being like, I love Gekka. And you were like,
Yes.
this is the most we had ever seen of Gekka. And
Yeah,
I was like,
because
that
Gekka doesn't-
stinks because I love Gekka.
Yeah, because this is the big thing about the anime is that again, only really Karasuba and Haizakura got backstories in the web novel. Like, the rest of the cast were there, but they only had like 2 or 3 scenes each, and they were very minor roles. Like, they're just dialogue essentially.
Yeah.
But we never got their backstory. We never understood their characters. This is the first time we've seen Gekka, Hokiboshi, and Retzel's full stories, and they are all really well done in my opinion. Like, they give in a single episode, you get an emotional, like, some people said that it's too fast for like an emotional gut punch because they think you expect
It's a little rushed.
No, I understand this, but I agree. If you're talking about a full key story and like you're expecting each of these episodes to hit like, let's say, a full character route, no, they won't.
It's not gonna do that.
It's not gonna do that, but that's not the point of it. These aren't character routes, they're introductions.
Yes.
These are essentially like judging the full. It's like judging a visual novel based on the common route.
Think like in Little Busters, the first time you eat snacks with Komari on the rooftop. And you kind of get an idea of what kind of person she is. It's one of those for each of the characters that they have a moment with Haizakura.
Yeah, exactly.
It's enough to get you invested in them, but it doesn't necessarily close all of their arcs, which is fine in my opinion.
Yeah, and the anime won't close all of their arcs because, well, it's a multimedia project and it also had its own story to tell. What we see is purely introduction, and I feel like a lot of people miss that boat because they were expecting each of the first few episodes to be a full story on their own. No, they are not.
No.
They are introducing these characters to you. That's all they're for. And whether you cry to these first few episodes will depend on you, because sometimes you might resonate with a story, sometimes you won't. Like it's like when you connect
was
to
a big one for you, right?
Yes, I will say that. I sobbed at the Hokiboshi episode. Like that hit me
I did at the
hard.
episode.
It'll depend on what you find emotional and what you find touching, but that's what these introductions are. They're not like a sob fest as in like, oh, this is a massive climax for this character arc. No, they're just an introduction and like a little look into their backstories. And whether you find their backstory something that you resonate with will depend on what you find emotional. Like, I found Hokiboshi's emotional because like what her story showed to me is something that I really like, and something I also find very touching and emotional.
Really good message.
Yeah, and when that ending, I was cheering. Like that's the kind of thing.
Yeah,
but they're meant to be introduction to these characters. They're not the focus. They're just letting you know each and every single one. And the most important part is making you care for these characters.
Which makes the second half hit that much harder. And I would say for the second half, like starting with episode 6, each episode was a little bit better than the last.
Yeah, I agree.
It's got like a upward spike in quality. Not to say that the beginning is even remotely bad, because it's not. It's not. Just like once it gets into plot, it's like the progression is perfect.
It's so good, and
Andre says crying at almost every episode.
I respect that. I fully respect that. Yeah, I think we'll have to save the second half to the spoiler segment, because basically every bit of it is spoilers. Like it's the plot area. Everything there is spoiler stuff. So for now, let's just talk about the other basic things. And I mean,
Well,
I
it's
pretty much.
It's a good segue because we were talking about how like how some people feel that, and this is probably the biggest critique I've heard for this show, how some people feel that the character sections are a bit rushed. Luckily, we have a kinetic novel series coming.
We have a kinetic novel. We have web novels. This is a multimedia project.
But supposedly, from what we heard, the first of 4 volumes that we'll be getting early next year in 2023 will basically just cover the anime plot. But as a kinetic novel, it's not confined to specific lengths, which means they can expand on things if they need to. And it's why I think this medium, like the kinetic novel medium, and specifically the episodic kinetic novel medium, will really, really benefit this series.
Yeah, I agree. Also, one thing I did forget to mention is each of the characters have character songs and they sing them for the endings.
Oh, not just character songs. There are songs they sing a lot. Like,
yeah, this is very much a song, a franchise revolving around music. But I'm mostly referring to the character songs here because like some, they get me emotional. They all get me a bit emotional. I like them all.
Retzel's in particular.
Retzel's and the Hokiboshi's
really
for
got
me hit me hard. Like especially the way they used Hokiboshi's song, like especially
it's usage, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, its usage and the lyrics is it is thematically perfect for her story. Like I sob when I listen to Hoshishirabe. It is one of my favorite key songs.
Wow.
It's
yeah,
really
and
good.
like a lot of people have been like, oh, is this an idol anime when they hear all the music? No, it's just they like to sing.
They do like to sing.
It's just
it has the same appeal of an idol anime, I will admit that, but it's not like a major focus that they're saying no. It's just this is something that these characters enjoy, and one thing and theme of this entire story is that these characters are suffering, but they're still doing their best to have fun, and that's the main thing. Is like they're hurting, yes, but they're able to sort of put that to the side and focus on making people happy and making themselves feel better, and that's why they're all singing.
Right, and it's also why Nagi created Kuronekote.
Yeah, it's a place of healing, essentially, like helping them ease up from all the shit that they went through.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, TLDR, watch Prima Doll. It's something that, like, it has something for everybody in here.
It has
it's
really
not one of your favorites.
It has really good one-episode character episodes that I think are worth watching, even if you aren't sold on all of them. Like you will find 1 or 2 characters that you will find charming, and even if they're not the focus for the whole franchise, this is a multimedia project. You'll see more of them.
Oh yeah.
Or not franchise, the whole 12 episode anime. Like there's like, because as much as I love Hokiboshi, Retzel, and Gekka, I do feel they take a bit of a back seat when the second half came in. And that's just because we had an overarching story to focus on.
Hokiboshi and Retzel, definitely. I would argue Gekka, because she gets episode 7.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's true, but yeah, Hokiboshi and Retzel, their episodes ended and their screen time, I wouldn't say decreased, like they weren't minimized, but they were definitely put to the side. Like they were more like supporting characters rather than like main characters.
Right. But not to the point where we ever forgot about them.
No, and that's the point of the first few episodes, that you care for each and every single one of them.
Yeah, like so there's that one moment with Retzel right at the end that like gave me chills. If you know, you know.
I love Retzel. Retzel's so good. Because Retzel in the web novel, she had the least screen time, so seeing her in the anime is just like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
All
anyway,
right, so
read it. Or watch it.
watch it, read it, and then read the kinetic novels when we get them. Other hopes for the kinetic novel series that you want to talk about?
Can't say my main one, but we can in the spoilers, but I can't say the main one. But
okay,
yeah.
So we'll leave this part to that. All I want really out of the kinetic novel series is I just want things expanded upon, and since the anime is only covering the first of 4 volumes, we're gonna get a lot more of this world, and man, am I excited.
Oh, yeah, now that you mentioned, there is one thing I do hope for the kinetic novels. I want to see this world through the perspective of...
more Retzel.
Yes, absolutely, more Retzel. But I want to see the world through the perspective of other characters, because that's one thing I really like about the web novels, is that we see the story of Prima Doll told through Usami, who is a character that's not in the anime because she's probably a baby. But in the web novels, we see this story through Usami, and again, when...
So Usami is a human, then?
Yes, Usami is a human.
Okay.
And Usami makes friends with each of the dolls, and when she does, the dolls tell her their story. And then the perspective shifts from Usami to them. And I think that is like one of the best parts of the web novel, because it expands the perspective and personalities of each character, and you get to explore them all. I hope the Connect novel does this as well, but with even more characters that aren't in the web novels, because, well, it's a different era. Like, I want to see a story that has more Nagi, or more of the military girl.
Oh yes, more Nagi. Nagi might be one of my favorite key boys.
Nagi is a great character. He's awesome.
I love him. He's my PSP right now.
He is very, very, very good, and I think he's very cute as well. But
he's so cute.
He's
like,
very
I
cute.
Go on and on about that.
He's very cute. But yeah, that's one thing I do hope to see about the Connect novels, is just seeing this world in more perspectives. One thing I completely forgot to mention is Prima Doll has 2 ongoing manga. Those are also
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, those are also a thing, and they are very much like adding to this. Like, one of them focuses on Karasuba, from what I've seen, and they are important. Well, I wouldn't say like necessary, but this is a mixed media project. If you want to see the story and more of these characters in different scenarios, and also see the perspective change, give the mangas a read, because again, one of them is through the perspective of Karasuba, who isn't a main character in both. Well, they're a major character in all of the works, but they're never the protagonist. In the manga, she is the protagonist. So yeah, give them a shot.
Yeah, definitely really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and make a prediction about the kinetic novel series, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not. I think it's going to be told entirely in third person, a la something like Loopers.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, though I would have to see, because like I actually now I think about it, because we do know that the kinetic novels will be told in parts, and they will be told disconnected. Like, each one is their own story, and they're all happening apart from each other. So in that case, that might actually be the thing. Like, we might have a third-person storyteller, though I do still think that we should have a focused character for each part. Or at least a few.
I think we will, and to be fair, we did in Loopers as well. It's just, I think every character is going to have a sprite, and we are going to be in, and it's not going to pick just one character to be in their heads.
Yeah,
we'll have an omniscient narrator.
We will have. I think that would be great, and I think it would benefit the Connect novel a lot if they did that.
Yeah. So we'll see. We will definitely have a Key Radio Live episode on that when it comes out early next year. So
indeed, exciting.
That will be good stuff. All right. So at this point, I think we are going to get into spoiler talk. I'll just say this about Prima Doll specifically. You're not going to have a big ending twist here. So if you don't care about being spoiled, or you've already seen the anime, stick around. But if you are a purist, this is the part where you can click off and come back after you've watched the entire anime.
Prima Doll is a predictable enough story outside of maybe the last episode, I feel, but like...
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about the last episode though. Like,
Oh yeah, I do want to talk about. All right, see a spiral.
see a spiral.
Yes. Okay. Now the fun part. My biggest hopes for the Kinetic novel. Give me more Haikagura.
Yeah. She okay. Haikagura is like the late addition to the anime, and I was actually shook that she had as big a role that she did.
Everyone was surprised because they didn't advertise her at all.
And her design is cute.
She's one of my favorite doll designs as well. And here's the thing, because obviously one of the biggest parts of Prima Doll are the dolls. But the thing about the anime is that while the new designs are we were seeing these designs animated, they never introduced a new character for the anime specifically, is what we thought. Right. Until they dropped Haikagura.
Episode 8 or 9 or whenever she
And they didn't, that's the thing, they didn't advertise her at all. You never saw her coming until she actually appeared in the show. And once she did, they're like, oh yeah, we have a new character. We have an entirely new character for you to watch. Yes. And she becomes the main focus of the plot. Like, this anime might as well be Haikagura's story after a certain point.
Alongside Haizakura.
Alongside Haizakura, yeah.
But I would argue she gets the second most development out of the entire cast.
Yeah.
And she only is there for like the last 25% of the anime.
Cause the emotional element of Prima Doll as an anime and the big plot things all relate to Haikagura. Like that. Yes. That is. So that's why I said that she is the focus. Is like she is the center. She is the reason the plot exists. Like, she is the reason the plot in the anime is a thing. She is the focus of the anime. And I feel like in most other stories, they would have advertised as like, oh, we're adding a new character to the lineup for this anime.
Oh, did they advertise Oka? I can't remember.
No. They didn't advertise
Oka either.
Yeah, but because Oka we didn't see much of. We were all surprised when she appeared, but we all just thought, oh, it's just another doll. But... yeah,
because there were plenty of like side character dolls who were not advertised.
Yeah, they were not advertised. But Haikagura, is actually no. This is funny. We can say it. Being the sister of Oka, like Haikagura came out of nowhere, and we were all surprised. Everyone was surprised. Anyone who said they predicted a new doll appearing so late into the game is lying, because I didn't see a single person talking about Prima Doll that saw Haikagura coming. No, and the fact that they held out on advertising on her existence and her entire relation to the show. Yes, Oka was revealed in the first scene.
Oh, you're right, Kushikimi. I forgot about that. She
was revealed in the first scene in the first episode, but that was it. Like, we thought she was just a doll, not like an incredibly important one.
A big deal, like enough to get Nagi kidnapped, you know?
Yeah. But like once we learned about Haikagura's existence and the fact that they were adding a new character to the roster, it was like, oh my god. And while I love Haikagura, just due to the nature of the anime and the fact that she is a spoiler that they withheld, we didn't get much of her. And I want to see more of her because I think she's one of Prima Doll's best characters.
I feel like she's gonna get a lot of CGs. It's just the vibe I get. Like she's just gonna get a lot of them. And man, just thinking about the CGs is already getting me so excited. Like
yes, I want to see the art style of the Prima Doll Connect novel because I feel like they'd have a great atmosphere.
Oh yeah, well even just the teaser image we got, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be
yes, the snow. Oh my god, I'm hyped.
The one of Haizakura and Karasuba. Yeah. And speaking of those two, like, okay, one of the really, really big moments for me is, like, there are a lot of amazing scenes, but one I really, really want to talk about is the one where Karasuba is trying to get Nagi's pocket watch in the store.
Mm-hmm.
That scene in particular, like, even though Nagi was off screen, you can clearly see how much he means to Karasuba. And those two, like, it is like Prima Doll's most popular ship, even though it's not really a romantic thing between the two of them, obviously. Everyone's shipping these two because they're just freaking cute. Like,
they are cute. And I also want to say that Haizakura and Karasuba's dynamic is like gold.
oh yeah, it's your classic, like, you know, cheery girl meets, you know, more down-to-earth girl. But it's done in a way where, like, they never get frustrated with each other. It's just like, this is how I see the world, and this is how I see the world, and they try really hard to work together.
Because here's what I really like about them is that they're so different, but they also have benefits to each other. Like, Haizakura is one of the big reasons Karasuba is able to, like, wind down, and also, like, she solves a lot of, like, when Karasuba is worried about Nagi, Haizakura is the one that goes, then let's go out and find him. Let's go out and, like, search for him ourselves. And when he gets kidnapped, like, Haizakura is the one who comes with Karasuba. Like, she's the one who arranges the quote-unquote vacation, and she comes with her. Like, and as well, Karasuba is also a big mentor figure, if not the biggest mentor figure to Haizakura, because she's new and naive. So these two characters...
Right, and Karasuba is the manager at Kuroneko.
Yeah, she's essentially her boss.
Yeah.
And even though they have, like, a very obviously comedic dynamic, they're also, like, very close-knit in spite of that, and you can feel that. And it's just comfy. Like, I love these two. They're so good together.
This is one of those rare keyworks that does comedy without a lot of slapstick.
Yeah.
And it's very much to Prima Doll's benefit. Like, I like slapstick quite a bit. Kaginato is amazing.
It's hit or miss for me, but I think Kaginato does it well.
It wouldn't fit Prima Doll.
It wouldn't fit Prima Doll.
It just wouldn't fit. And the fact that they didn't do that is very much to the show's benefit.
I think these characters work incredibly well with each other. This is a fantastic cast that gels well.
They're just nice people.
They're just nice people.
That's all you need. You just need nice people.
It do be. It's positive vibes, and, like, the entire, like, adventure they had with the vacation, and also, like, when, like, that stuff is just, like, it's comforting to me. I don't know how they did it.
Karasuba getting in the bin of robot parts, like, that was so good.
It's so good. But yeah, and after that they introduced Haikagura, and that was when the plot really kicked off.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, can I just say how much I was surprised? Like, I've gushed about her a bit already, but I love Haikagura so much. Like, she has had so much, like, she has an incredible character arc, and I think her character is the biggest example of what I mean by the PTSD allegory. Because she...
very much so. Because she's an amnesiac like Haizakura, but she responds to it very differently.
She responds to it very differently, and unlike the rest of the cast, she can't cope with, like, what happened. Like, she is still very much, like, she can't detach herself from the past. She is very much tied down to it, and that's what I think, why I think her character works incredibly well.
Well, that's what causes her to, like, take over all the Mechanica dolls, right?
It's what causes her to cause the main conflict in the ending, which is her taking all the Mechanica dolls and essentially trying to restart the war because she wants to
weaponize them. Yeah,
to weaponize them because she wants to is punish the right word? No, like, to take back at humanity for what they did to her and her sister.
Yes-ish. I didn't take it so much as vengeful as, like, she thought she was she thought this was how to, quote, end the war. She didn't actually think the war was over.
I agree with that.
She was doing the right thing. And
she couldn't. She couldn't detach herself from the past.
Yes.
Like she is very much the most evident example of that, in that she's still hung up on events long gone. And that causes the main conflict, and it also awakens Haizakura's memories of what she is. And can I just say how this isn't a very like revolutionary story, but I was very surprised to discover that Haizakura was not Oka. Like, cause I feel like every single part of this story was building up to Haizakura being Oka, but she wasn't.
I thought so too. She was an Inaba. She was a close person. She was a close supporting. She was an Inaba. She was a close friend of Oka. Yes.
But because of their close friendship and their close bond, she was able to inherit Oka's memories. So no, Haizakura isn't Oka, but she's able to carry on Oka's legacy and use the same power that Oka had when she was still.
And now that I think about it, this didn't click till just now. We see that in the first episode when the aggressive Mechanica shows up and almost hurts Chio.
Yep, we do see that. It's foreshadowing from episode 1.
I can't believe I just put that together. I feel really stupid.
To be fair, a lot of things are like in hindsight.
And I think that's going to be the case a lot with this series, because like as a mixed media project, people are going to experience it out of chronological order. That's just inevitable.
It depends on what they start with first.
Right. Kushi says, to be fair, automata can control automata.
Yes, but
based on what level they are. But control Mechanica.
Generation.
Yes.
Yeah, the
automata
generation.
Can control Mechanica. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. But we did sort of she's the first time we see it, and also that it's just one of those things where I feel like they foreshadow it very slightly, but not enough to give it away. But again, as I said, they don't lean into what you'd think it is. Like, you'd think that she's the next spirit of Oka, and that she is the new version of Oka, because that's what Haikagura is. Unlike Haizakura, Haikagura is Kika. She is Kika. That is the same.
Who is
the same robot.
The next model of Oka. Yes.
Yeah, but she couldn't deal with the war, so Oka took on her burden as well.
Right.
And because of that, Kika's memories and her feelings relating to the events of the war are a lot more personal to her and a lot more direct to her, while Haizakura isn't quite as affected, because she inherited Oka's memories. She is not Oka. They are different characters, but she inherited Oka's feelings and Oka's abilities, and basically acts as a stand-in to correct Oka's sister in her place.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think...
Speaking of Haizakura's memories, can we talk about that last episode?
Oh, okay. So that's the big emotional screw-up of Prima Doll, is that entire last episode was just suffering.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'll say this. Basically, the idea is Haizakura, after waking up, after stopping the rogue Mechanica, she can't hold on to memories for longer than a few hours or something. What did it for me, finding that out was sad. Having Retzel, really sad about it was sad. What broke me, was the moment when she was looking through her diary and wiped off the picture in the rain.
Yeah, by accident, and because that was her only way of remembering what had happened, and
that destroyed me.
When she wiped it off, that was literally her last bit of memories going away, any comfort of remembering what she had gone through. And the screwed up thing is, we were foreshadowed about this from episode 1, because that happened to Yugiri. That happened to Yugiri, but the difference is Yugiri was a one-off character that, admittedly, let's be real, we didn't care for as much. we
No,
can't.
She was a side character in Chio's story.
Yeah, she was more of like I want to say plot device, but she kind of was, like to a point.
Kind of, but she is important to Chio's development.
She's important to Chio, yes, and that's the thing. Yugiri, we see this through Yugiri, but it hits so much harder when it's a character that we have spent 11 episodes with.
Yeah.
And like an episode, like literally, this is our protagonist. This is the character we have seen this entire world with, and then when she suffers from the same issues, when she starts losing her memories, it hurts because we're seeing our own protagonist slip away from us.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. It's
such a fantastic last episode, and I think the most like destructive gut punch is the fact that we leave their Haizakura's fate like a bit bittersweet because we don't know if she'll ever get those memories properly reinstalled. Like we don't know if she'll be able to remember the events of the anime, ironically. Like we obviously she's gonna stay a doll, and she does stay a doll at the Black Hat Cafe.
Well, we do know she's going to get like her ability to retain memories has been fixed since she got reset, but her memories are gone.
Yeah, like the
think.
Like essentially the Haizakura we knew through the anime only existed in the anime. Like after the anime, that's a new Haizakura.
Right.
And that destroys me a bit.
We can assume that her friends and her family have told her what she experienced, but it's not the same as having memories of those experiences. You know what I mean?
It's like this is sort of what they do with Fate, is that yes, you can tell someone that they've done the thing that they've done, but it doesn't feel real to them, and it's like they're just hearing a story. They're just hearing things that someone else does. It's not like they themselves are doing it.
It's like when my mother tells me about something I did when I was 3 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to like put these two together as being the same character.
Right.
When she herself feels like it's not her, like it's something that she's done, but it's like it's not the same person. Like she can't remember it.
Yeah.
And this is also affecting me in another story, but I can't mention that story because it's spoilers. But
it's a good plot. It's good writing. Like
it's good, but it hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts.
I mean, it's key. I expected it to hurt.
I love pain.
I just love Prima Doll. I'm just gonna say it. I am so happy with this series. It is
Prima Doll
my favorite key work of the year. Like
Prima Doll is incredible, and have we said most of what we want to say about Prima Doll at this point? Because I want to finish off saying what the last few words of my review, which is I posted on my Twitter.
Please.
Is that okay? The anime does have a plot, expanding on Prima Doll's world further than before and providing an actual showcase of what the damage of these characters undergo can really result in. You can hurt others for your sake, but ultimately it may cause you more grief. Ultimately, what Prima Doll asks us what Prima Doll tells us is that it's up to you to whether you treat your fellow people like expendable dolls or give them the patience and care they deserve to heal. Prima Doll is a story that shows how people can be hurt through robots, as they are mechanical beings that can feel a soul and have a heart. Prima Doll is a story that shows the many ways people can be hurt through an allegory of these damaged robots. It also shows that people can still do their best to live on despite that. So hopefully one day, despite everything we've gone through, the damage won't hurt as much anymore. And once we're all together, we can all sing as one on a grand stage together. And that's Prima Doll. Is that yes, things may hurt a little bit, but in the end, we can all overcome it together, and hopefully we can all have fun and sing together on a big stage, just for fun.
This absolutely can sit with Key.
Yeah, I love I love Prima Doll a lot. It is a very
Prima
good
Doll,
series.
it's so good.
It is
So-
an excellent series.
We will be back in a few months to talk about this series some more after the Kinetic novel happens. And until then, good night, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Good night.